So I just came back from watching Madam Web, and it's probably like the worst movie of 2024. For proof of that, I actually have my ticket right here. If the camera can zoom in, 2/14/224. I watched this movie. Obviously, there hasn't been a lot of movies that came out this year, so I could be brash. I could be like, oh, well, there's not. No, this movie is pretty bad. I already saw some tweets. It's worse than Morbius. It's the worst comic book movie of all time. Well, I can't confirm or deny it because I watched Eternals and I fell asleep in that. That's probably the only movie I've ever fell asleep in a movie. This one, I did not fall asleep because it was kind of dumb in some moments. So let me talk about my thoughts on Madam Web because I know 99% of the people who are watching this won't actually watch Madam Web because this movie is going to probably flop. It's already gone like a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. It already got to 1 out of 10 on IMDb. So this movie is not doing well, and some people are calling it worse than Morbius. And I haven't seen Morbius. I've only seen the end credit scene, and that is pretty funny. So that's the only reason I've seen it. But pretty much this movie is gonna bomb. It's gonna flop. It's gonna flop hard. And if it doesn't, I'll give you each $100. Don't count me on that because I'd go broke if I did that. So pretty much, here's my thoughts on it. I don't want to explain the whole entire story because the trailer pretty much gives away the story. Pretty much, there's a guy chasing after Madam Web and these girls, and pretty much they're trying to hunt her down. At the end, Madam Web kills the guy. So pretty much, that's pretty much the story. She gets superpowers from a random spider, and the evil villain gets powers from another spider. Pretty much, you guys don't need to explain it because it's so dumb. It's like basic plot story. So pretty much, I want to talk about why this movie sucks and kind of explain to you guys, because you guys probably haven't seen this, why this movie sucks. But let me explain to you why this movie sucks. In the beginning, in the trailer, if you watch the trailer, it kind of gives most of the stuff away. The mom goes into this like foreign country to study spiders, and we learn that there's a bunch of spiders that give you superpowers, and she gets bitten by it, and you know that's why Madam Web has powers. But the problem I have with that is that we learn that there's a whole entire village with Spider-Man's powers. So, you know, great power comes with great responsibility. That doesn't matter because there's a whole village of people with those powers, and Spider-Man is just one out of, I don't know, thousands. I don't know how many people who have spiders. They don't really explore it, but there's just a bunch of Spider-Mans in a village that is apparently no one actually looked up. No one actually cared to investigate this village with a bunch of Spider-Mans just running around. So it's so dumb that there's a bunch of Spider-Mans running around, and apparently this was originally set in the Amazing Spider-Man universe, so poor Andrew Garfield that he had to suffer with could have potentially been a trash movie in his universe, and he's already had a lot of those in his universe. Also, I want to talk about how, you know how in the trailer there's like all the other Spider-Girls in there? They're not in the movie. Like, that scene where you see Sydney Sweeney as a Spider-Man, you see I forgot all the other characters. I only know Sydney Sweeney because, you know, she's an actual person people know about. But, you know, all the Spider-Women you see in the trailer, they don't actually appear in the movie. You see glimpses of them. Like, you'll see Madam Web see, like, the future of them being Spider-Girls, like, 1 or 2 scenes. I would say mainly, like, a total of 6 scenes, like, quick flashes of them are actually Spider-Girl. I expected like Sydney Sweeney to suit up in her costume, you know, fight some crime, fight the bad guy of this villain, and the villain in this Walmart Spider-Man. So I expected her to like beat him up. That doesn't happen. They do some like shenanigans, some Looney Tunes-esque stuff where he just like trips over some stuff and he gets hit by like a rock or something like that, and that's how they ultimately defeat him, by her like predicting his moves before they happen. So the Spider-Woman you see in the trailer, that doesn't happen. They never suit up. It's all visions, and it's actually so dumb that they never turn into the Spider-Girls. Like, even in the beginning, they're like, the main villain says the reason he's hunting these girls down is that he wants to kill the main girls because they end up killing him. Like, he has a vision that these 3 people become Spider-Girl and they end up killing him. So I assume, well, they set up that vision. Obviously, he's in the future, or at the end of this movie, they're going to kill him like they did in the vision. That only makes sense. That's how movie working works. You don't show a vision or show the future, and that future doesn't end up happening. That doesn't make any sense. This movie is about future, right? So soon we see the things that are predicted, we don't. Those people never suit up. So that vision he has, like, it never comes true, which is like, I guess he could prevent that vision. I don't know. But I would say like mostly the beginning and or like some of the goofiest stuff I've seen in movie history. I would say majority of the middle section, I would say, is some basic comic book stuff. Like, it's not gonna be like, oh, it's so like dumb fun or it's so like bad. I would say it's just like textbook mid comic book movies, you know, copy and paste, control C, control V, storytelling. Like, nothing special, super generic. But I would say the beginning and end is the mainly like some of the goofy stuff. Like I know this director has directed some good stuff. I know she's directed Succession. I know she's directed some of the Defender stuff. I know she directed a couple other good TV show episodes. But this was the first movie she's ever directed. So, and I would say it's apparent, but I don't know how much the studio messed in there and they had to do reshoots and it's like, do it like this, do it like this. And she was just some puppet that the Sony was just pulling the strings behind. I don't know how much of that actually happened. It seems like Sony had a bunch of involvement in this. Obviously, this movie didn't even have an end credit scene, so I know they didn't truly believe in this movie. And let me talk about the ending, because the ending probably has to be one of the most funniest parts. So they defeat the main villain by, she predicts the future, and somehow she has the ability to make 3 of herself. She makes shadow clones of herself, pretty much, because she can, I don't know, tap into reality to where she can be at 3 places at once. They don't really explain it. They just say that she can be in 3 places at once. I don't know what that has to do with time, but apparently that's how it works. So they defeat the villain by her predicting his movements, and she predicts where he's gonna be. So she sets like a Looney Tunes type trap where the explosion is gonna happen at that place he's gonna land on, stuff like that. But after they finish defeating him, she falls off like this little Coca-Cola sign. Also, talking about this, there's so many Pepsi ads in this movie. It's actually crazy how many Pepsi ads are in this movie. So I don't know if I can confirm this, if Pepsi did sponsor this, but there were so many Pepsi cans. It's actually crazy. One of the scenes, they're at a barbecue, and she has like a Pepsi can like face towards the camera, and it looks like the most HD, probably Photoshop. I don't know. They probably got a regular can, but that Pepsi looks super clean. Like they made sure that you couldn't miss the Pepsi can. So there's a bunch of Pepsi ads, and they're on a Coca-Cola tower, and it falls down. I don't know if it's to like throw shade at Coca-Cola because they're sponsored by Pepsi. I don't know. I'm not on these marketing teams. So she's falling down from this Coca-Cola sign, the brand. They need to get the brands in there. So she falls down from the Coca-Cola sign, and she falls in the water. Now at this point, she's seeing like she's able to shadow clone herself by tapping into different realities. So she's in the water, right? All the rumble's falling down, and all of a sudden, a single piece of rubble, like maybe like my fist-sized rock, hits her eyes. Like some Looney Tunes stuff, they hit her eyes, and she goes blind, right? She goes blind. So this is the girl who can tap into 3 different realities and create shadow clones of herself and be 3 places at once. So at this point, she's OP. She can see the future, and it's not like something that she can't control like in the beginning. In the beginning, she couldn't control her powers, but now she can control her powers completely fully. She can control her powers like 100%. She's like Professor X. She can like calculate every single move. She's like, Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr., where you can see like all different versions of what can happen, and she can predict it fine. That's pretty much her at the end of the movie. But she can't predict a rock falling to her face, hitting both of her eyes, and making her go blind. And obviously they made her go blind because, in the comics, she is blind. So it's like, yeah, they got there, but it was so dumb. Like, you could have done that in the beginning. And then, like, she learns how to use her vision powers to, use it to not be held back by her being blind or something. I don't know. Make her blind in the beginning. I don't know. Do something with that. But she gets, like, Looney Tunes cartoonishly blind by a single rock hitting her that she couldn't predict, even though she can see, like, 1,000 different realities. So she gets hit by this rock, and then she has, like, the typical bandage that you see from the movie, and then all of a sudden, you see all the other 3 main girls. I haven't even been talking about these 3 main girls. They're kind of just side characters, like I said. They have no part of this movie. They're just kind of there to be like Madam Web's, like MacGuffin to carry around. She just needs to make sure they don't get injured. And at the end, they all team up, and then we get like a cool scene, standoff superhero pose, where Madam Web is in her Madam Web costume, and all 3 of them are in her Spider-Girl costume, and they're all posing like super coolly in front of the camera and be like, the best thing about the future is that it's not happened yet. Like hinting at like, oh guys, we're gonna team up in this big movie of like Spider-Girls and Madam Web. Like, get ready for this. And this movie doesn't have a post-credit scene, so they truly didn't believe in this. That was the ending shot, and I just left. I was like, all right, we're done here. No post-credit scene. I don't have to wait a couple extra minutes to see some more mid. But this movie was generally really bad. It was awful. Now, is Morbius bad? I haven't seen Morbius. I don't know how bad it is. But I would say there was a couple good scenes in there. Okay, I don't want to give hate to this movie completely, even though this movie completely deserves hate. But there's a couple good scenes. First one, in the trailer, you see them at a subway. That subway scene is actually pretty decently shot in the movie. So pretty much the villain is pretty much just Spider-Man without the webs. So pretty much like he has this kind of like evil Spider-Man-esque scene where like he's crawling on walls and he disappeared. And he's just like pulling cops out of the air. And he's doing it like so cool. You know, in Arkham Batman, like he's just hiding and, you know, you just pull out the cops and you don't know where it's going on. It's kind of like scary in a sense. That's what they kind of did with Spider-Man in the scene. So I don't have any visual representation to show you guys because this movie barely came out. And obviously I don't have anything to show you on screen. So pretty much he's like Arkham Batman, just like pulling people out of like places and they're like, where did they go? So it was actually pretty cool, like shot and done, that scene. But besides that, I can't even think of anything else that was good. Also, there was a lot of memes coming out before this movie came out where that the fortune cookie that Uncle Ben was going to read was going to say great power, great responsibility. It didn't say that. I forgot what quote it said, but it was just some mid quotes like, I don't know, something luck based. Like you have bad luck. Oh, wait. Now I remember. So in this scene, it's very in the beginning, right? So Madam Web and Uncle Ben are both ambulance. And they're talking about how Uncle Ben has been in the war. So pretty much Madam Web is saying, oh, you came back to feel safer from the war to come back to Harlem. And they say a couple exchanges. And then Madam Web says, so you've never been shot in Harlem. Like as a joke, because, you know, he's been shot in the war. But she's saying you feel safer in Harlem because you've never been shot here. Obviously a clear reference to how he gets shot later on when Peter Parker, he gets shot by the guy. I forgot his name, but he gets shot by the guy and Peter Parker is like, crying over his dead body. So it's kind of a throwaway gag. I don't know if people will be mad at it because it's like, I don't know. It's Madam Web. What do you expect? It's dumb writing. But at the end of this day, this movie was bad. Like I wouldn't recommend anyone to it. I was about to say it's the worst movie of the year. Probably is. I can't think of any movie that's gonna be worse than it. So far, like all I can think about is good movies that are coming out. Is it the worst movie I've ever seen? Probably not. I've watched Eternals. That movie's pretty bad. Even though people like it, I feel like it's so mid that it's bad. Like, I fell asleep in that movie. I never fall asleep in any movie. That movie, I fell asleep. And I fell asleep during the third act. Obviously, I know people like Eternals. I'm not one of them. If I had to rate this movie would be like a 1 out of 10. Pretty bad movie. I don't think I have anything left to say about this movie. This movie's just bad. Bad movie. And I am a Spider-Man fan, so I'm not hating on this, but I'm definitely hating on this. But let me know if you guys seen it, because I'm pretty sure most of you guys won't see this movie, and I'm pretty sure most of the world won't see this movie. I doubt this movie will make its money back, and the actors don't even believe in it. Like, I saw no promotion for this, so I don't even know how much this costs. Some of the CGI was bad in it, mainly in the underwater scenes. They look like PS2 graphics. So let me know if you guys seen it, what you guys think of it. Let me know if you guys weren't going to see this, because this movie is pretty bad. This movie is honestly maybe the worst movie of the year. Definitely is the worst movie of the year. And I hate that we didn't get to see the Spider-Girls. Like, that was the only reason I was going in for it. Like, the only significant thing I saw was Sydney Sweeney looked pretty good as Spider-Woman. That looked pretty cool. I think she looked pretty good in that role. I think she looked perfectly like the comics. And she wasn't even in the Spider-Girl suit at all. It was just in a couple of visions. This movie sucked. That's all I have to say. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys next time. Peace.